icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The DeWitt County Board decided against pursuing a data center ordinance in action taken at its monthly meeting on Thursday night. Board Chair Joe Whitty opened the floor for discussion on the matter, setting off a wave of unified skepticism from county officials.
It's my belief that if any entity comes to the county looking or inquiring about potential development, that no one board member should turn them away or say that we're interested. So, a couple of months ago, I did indicate that I had somebody contact me seeking county input whether we were interested. Since that time, I've had another smaller entity ask if we were interested in hosting a data center or adopting an ordinance. I never said one or the other that I thought it was a great idea or not. I know there's a lot of issues out there, but I've got confidence that if we were to authorize the land use, we've got folks who have been diligent in looking at a lot of those issues, and we could come up with an ordinance that would hopefully address some of those. But I understand there's a lot of other moving parts going on both at the federal and state level. So I think for transparency's sake, I wanted to bring it to the board, let us have that discussion and see where it ends up. But ultimately, I'm not sure that this is necessarily the right time with all the other moving parts that level outside of the county. I just think that it's my duty to bring it to the board so that we can have that discussion. And anytime you've got another business looking to potentially develop something in the county that can bring in significant tax revenue, I just think we've got to have that discussion. So with that, that's the reason I brought it forward, even though I know there's some potential concerns.
State's Attorney Dan Markwell clarified the framework of how a potential request would move to the zoning board. Whitty indicated he is following how the county has handled similar matters in the past.
Mr. Whitty, I just had a question about the wording of the motion. So our code sets forth the ways a text amendment can be brought forth. The full board can do it, the regional planning commission can do it, or a property owner could petition to do that. So I guess I just want a clarification. Is this motion basically giving the land use committee the authority to act on behalf of the full board, or are they going to research it and then send it to the full board to then start?
So I worded it this way to model it off of what we've done in the past, where, obviously it is the county board that would have to initiate that process. If we didn't want to send it to land use, instead wanted to come up with an ad hoc committee to do that, we can do that too. We can certainly adjust the motion here, but the intent was the county board is saying, yes, we want to pursue that. That would satisfy, I think, the first point that where the county board initiates that text amendment, but leaning on the land use committee to do some of the heavy lifting. Obviously, that would still, any text amendment would have to go through the regional planning commission and zoning board as well, and ultimately be approved by the full board if we even came up with something. But as a first step, I thought we just needed to have that discussion and see if we wanted to go down that path. So,
while he has done his due diligence in researching the issue, Land Use Committee Chair Buck Carter expressed strong reservations about opening the door to data center frameworks before a clear and verified need exists within the community.
Like the chairman of the Land Use Committee, I'm opposed to this. I've been going to the seminars, I've been doing a lot of studying, trying to educate myself as much as I could, but relying on data centers, pluses and minuses, what's happening. And I don't think we're ready for that. I still see massive changes nationwide on how they're handling these and the problems that's coming up and the adjustments that are being made. And I think it's just way too early. I like the idea that we're saying we don't have an ordinance, so we're not ready to do anything. I just don't see us being able to put together an ordinance that would satisfy our community to even consider hosting a data center. I would encourage it just to leave it as it is.
The board unanimously voted down sending any direction to the Zoning Board of Appeals, effectively putting any immediate talks of local data center development on hold. Hear from Board Chair Joe Whitty on the WHOW Morning Show Friday, coming up shortly at 8:30 a.m. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Spring just has a way of putting a little more energy into everything. Brighter days, warmer air, and more reasons to get out and enjoy it. Your home should keep up with that. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, you'll have your own one-story duplex with bright open spaces, a private patio, and neighborhood walking paths just outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for 55 and better.
SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back to school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. Preston Curtis threw a complete game, and Clinton took down Shelbyville for a second time this season with a 4-1 win, clinching a Central Illinois Conference high school baseball title on Thursday in Shelbyville. Curtis allowed a run on 4 hits with 5 strikeouts. At 9-1 in the CIC, the Maroons clinched the conference title outright this spring. Ryan Pine hit a solo home run, and Josh Bass drove in a run as well. Brock Wilson and Stone Stith each contributed doubles in the win. Shelbyville and Clinton will meet in a regional semifinal next week at the Clinton Regional. At 20-12 overall, the Maroons play a tune-up game with Prairie Central on Tuesday before its regional semifinal tilt on Thursday. Catch Clinton postseason baseball action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Lincoln used a fast start to roll Decatur MacArthur 9-5 in Central State 8 high school baseball action on Thursday in Decatur. The Railers led 3-0, then 7-2, and held off the Generals late for the win. Ashton Lucas was 2 for 2 with 3 walks and 3 stolen bases. Gage Rutledge finished 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Carson Komnick was 1 for 4 with a double. Bryson Vlakovic drove in 2. Vlakovic allowed 2 runs, 1 earned on 3 hits with 7 strikeouts to 3 walks to earn the win for the Rail Splitters. Lincoln goes to 21-9 overall and 4-4 in the Central State 8. They host Springfield-Lanifer on Friday. The top of the lineup carried Warrensburg-Latham to a 5-3 win over Mount Pulaski in non-conference high school baseball action on Thursday in Warrensburg. Nathan Southern, Jaden Peck, Easton McKenzie, Trenton Bridges, and Kaysen Reynolds each drove in a run. Bridges was 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. McKenzie and Reynolds each hit doubles as well for the Cardinals, while Peck was 2 for 4. Reynolds struck out 8 across 5 innings, allowing an unearned run and 3 hits as well as 3 walks. A late comeback effort fell short by the Hilltoppers. Tyler Cross recorded the only RBI on the afternoon for Mount Pulaski. Cross and Luke Martin hit doubles in the defeat. Warrensburg-Latham goes to 19-8 overall. Mount Pulaski falls to 20-10. They will host Maroa Forsyth on Saturday. Kellen Bohorst scored Evan Howley in the bottom of the 13th inning, sending Mount Zion to a 1-0 13-inning marathon win over Normal West in non-conference high school baseball action from Mount Zion. Howley walked with 1 out in the bottom of the 13th. He stole second, and Bohorst delivered with 2 outs. Both teams combined to strike out 38 times. Connor Fox and Ty Backman went toe-to-toe to start the game. Backman fired 6 shutout innings for the Wildcats with 10 strikeouts, while Fox went 7 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts for the Braves. Peyton Delgado went 5 shutout innings in relief of Fox with 6 strikeouts. Mount Zion goes to 17-11 overall, while Normal West drops to 20-13. Normal West will play in a round-robin tournament in Champaign this weekend. In high school softball regional semifinal scores from yesterday in Class 1A, the 5th-seeded DMAC beat the 4th-seeded Athens 6-5. And in a Class 2A regional championship matchup yesterday, the top-seeded Tolono Unity shut out the 5th-seeded Tri-Valley 10-0. In weekend regional championship matchups in Class 1A, the 2-seeded Hayworth will go to the 6th-seeded Iroquois West tonight at 4:30, while the top-seeded Illini Bluffs takes on 5th-seeded DMAC at Havana at 4:30 today. Top-seeded Meridian is at 6th-seeded Tuscola tonight at 4:30. The 6th-seeded Tremont will go to the 2nd-seed Triopia Saturday at 11 a.m., while the 4th-seeded Watseka hosts top-seeded Leroy Saturday at 11 a.m. In Class 2A regional championship matchups this weekend, the 2nd-seeded Monticello is at the 6th-seeded Bloomington Central Catholic tonight at 4:30. Hear the action of that game on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. The top-seeded Olympia will take on the 4th-seeded Peoria Notre Dame at Farmington tonight at 4:30, while the 3rd-seeded Illinois Valley Central hosts 2nd-seed Eureka tonight at 5 p.m. The 4th-seeded Warrensburg-Latham is at top-seeded Rochester tonight at 4:30, while the 2nd-seeded Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin will play the 3rd-seeded Beardstown at Pleasant Plains tonight at 4:30. The Illinois State baseball program suffered a 6-3 defeat to number 5 seed Evansville on Thursday afternoon at Johnny Reagan Field at Taylor Family Park. The Redbirds struck first in the contest, scoring the opening run as Michael Carano Jr. doubled to left center to score Graham Mastros and give Illinois State a 1-0 lead in the first inning. Evansville looked to respond a frame later after a leadoff double placed a runner into scoring position in the opening moments of the second inning. Despite the pressure mounted by the Purple Aces, Michael Adari answered by striking out the side to maintain Illinois State's 1-0 advantage. In the bottom of the third, Evansville battled back with a one-out triple and later scored on a wild pitch to even it at 1-1. With a walk and a single, the Purple Aces placed 2 runners on to set up an RBI double to claim a 2-1 lead. Trailing entering the fourth, the Redbirds answered as Carano Jr. tallied his second double of the contest to set up an RBI single from Josh Outlaw to tie the game at 2-2. In the top of the fifth, Illinois State loaded the bases following back-to-back hits from Eric Machej and Louis Boussard and an intentional walk by Braden Bakes. With the bases loaded, Mastros delivered a sac fly to score Machej as the Redbirds reclaimed the 3-2 lead. Trailing in the home half of the fifth, Evansville threatened after a stolen base and a throwing error moved the tying run to third. Adari answered by stranding the runner and maintaining Illinois State's 3-2 advantage. In the bottom of the seventh, the Purple Aces capitalized on a leadoff walk with an RBI double down the right field line to tie the game at 3-3. Moments later, with an RBI single, they reclaimed the lead at 4-3. Evansville extended its lead with a leadoff homer in the bottom of the eighth to push the score to 5-3. The Purple Aces later added another run with an RBI single to grow their advantage to 6-3. Trailing late, Illinois State looked to rally, but Evansville was able to hold on to secure the Tuesday afternoon victory. Brandon Lowe homered. Marcell Ozuna drove in 2 runs, and the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the St. Louis Cardinals 6-2 on Thursday. Rookie Connor Griffin extended his hitting streak to 8 games with a double. He also scored a run and stole a base. Griffin went 6 for 13 in the series and improved to 13 for 33 during his streak. Braxton Ashcraft is 3-2 and struck out 9 across 7 innings. He gave up 1 run on 4 hits and 2 walks. The Pirates won their 4th consecutive road series against National League Central opponents. Ozuna, a former Cardinal, singled with 1 out to score Spencer Horwitz and Griffin, extending the lead to 4-1 in the 6th. Henry Davis hit a leadoff homer in the 7th, and Brian Reynolds drove in a run with a ground out, making it 6-1. Lowe, who also singled, hit a 3-2 fastball that bounced off the top of the wall just inside the left field foul pole in the first inning. It was originally declared an inside-the-park home run before the stat was changed by the scorer. The Pirates went ahead 2-1 in the 4th inning. Griffin scored on a fielder's choice by Jake Mangum. A 2-out homer by Ivan Herrera in the 3rd inning tied the score at 1-1. Herrera also scored in the 8th on a single by Jordan Walker. Dustin May is 3-5 and pitched 5 1/3 innings, allowing 4 runs on 6 hits and 2 walks while striking out 7. The Pirates will start right-hander Bubba Chandler, who is 1-5 with a 5.14 ERA on Friday in Toronto against a starter that is yet to be named. The Cardinals will start right-hander Kyle Leahy, who is 5-3 with a 3.94 ERA against Reds right-hander Chris Paddock, who is 0-5 with a 7.07 ERA on Friday in Cincinnati. The Chicago Bears reiterated Thursday that they plan to leave Chicago as they continue to look at building a stadium in suburban Illinois or Hammond, Indiana. The statement, which appears to again close the door on staying in Chicago, comes after team president Kevin Warren said last month at the NFL meetings in Arizona that the Bears were hoping to choose a new site for an enclosed stadium in Illinois or Indiana late this spring or early in the summer. The Bears have played at Soldier Field for more than half a century. Indiana lawmakers are attempting to lure them away from the Windy City with a plan to finance and build a dome stadium in Hammond, about 25 miles from their current home on Lake Michigan's shore. The Illinois General Assembly responded with legislation that would give tax breaks to so-called mega projects of at least $100 million, a plan that would encompass the Bears' proposal to build a complex on a 326-acre tract of land they own in Arlington Heights. The Bears are a charter NFL franchise that has played in Illinois since the team's founding in 1920 as the Decatur Staleys. Since moving to Chicago in 1921, the Bears have never owned their stadium, whether playing at Wrigley Field from 1921 to 1970 or Soldier Field since. In MLB scores from yesterday, the Cleveland Guardians beat the Detroit Tigers 3-1. The New York Mets took down the Washington Nationals 2-1. The Atlanta Braves routed the Miami Marlins 9-3, while the Toronto Blue Jays shut out the New York Yankees 2-0. The Athletics beat the LA Angels 3-2 in 10 innings, while the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Colorado Rockies 2-1. In NBA playoff action last night, the third-seeded New York Knicks beat the fourth-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers 109-93. And in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Carolina Hurricanes 6-2. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about back-to-school preparations. Part of getting your kids ready for the new school year means making sure they're healthy. SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back-to-school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-735-2317 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-735-2317. SIU Medicine. Forward for you.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing Connexus like Connexus.